Ladies and gentlemen, this is Internet Personality Vangelus, and I am taking a look at KFC's KP-06T hands set for MP-10 Convoy. The T means this is for the MP-10 to Karatomi version, so they're a little bit of a darker blue than the regular KP-06 for the Hasbro Masterpiece Prime, and they come with a gun, and you gotta do a little bit of disassembly to get these on. They don't come with a screwdriver. That wasn't a thing when these came out. So you'll need a little screwdriver to undo some screws on the sides of Masterpiece Convoy's hands. His hands split down the middle. When you get the screw out and you start prying them open, you should find that the pin for the knuckle holds all the fingers together tightly on the other side of the palm. Getting the Keys Fantasy Club hands on is a bit trickier. You've got to pull a panel off that exposes the ball joint connections for the fingers, and means if you tip it the wrong way and hit it the wrong way, fingers might fall out. But if you get the panel off, then you just need to remove a screw from the side, much like you did for the original hands, and peel this thing in half, which can be tricky, mostly because there are more moving parts. Once you get all that figured out, it sandwiches around the mushroom peg on the wrist, and might need a little bit of twisting to fit on there, because it's a very snug fit, and the tolerances are pretty tight on the wrist. But if you get it together, you get the knuckle pad back on and the screw back in, you've got some hands installed. Just take it slow and be careful and do it over a surface where if stuff does fall out, you won't lose it. And once you're done, you've got these hands on here that look pretty decent as fists. This is like my first test, is do these even look like fists? Let's get the original hand next to it. I think it does. It looks better, actually, because the thumb is, you know, over the fingers, not in this weird, highly toyetic thumb over the index finger kind of look. So first points to the Keith's hands, they look pretty good. As for how they feel, I've had terrible luck with KFC items, mostly their cassettes. My experience with the KFC cassettes has been awful. They've all broken, pretty much. So these hands being made of a whole bunch of, you know, tiny parts that are hinged and ball jointed together, I was kind of terrified and had been avoiding them for a while, that I saw enough reviews saying that they were fine, that I decided to pick it up and give it a shot. And I gotta say, like, these MP-10 hands, the KP-06 hands we're looking at, they feel in the knuckles, they feel a little bit loose, but they hold their posture really well. Like, they don't flop around. I was very pleasantly surprised by this. As for like the durability of the joints, I've yet to have a finger pop out by accident or a knuckle pop apart by accident, so I'm rather pleased with that. As for like sculpted detail, they are mimicking the detail of the original hands, down to like the two dots on the top and the bar across the bottom. And now that we're in a closer shot, I can also show you my other favorite thing about these hands. They can look like they're open, while these ones kind of suck at it. They always have that that implied curl outside of the one finger that's able to point. And the other thing that made me real happy about these hands, which I guess I just missed this whole time, is the fingers are all slightly different lengths. I love this, because there are a lot of robot hands on the market that don't get this. And this is very important to me, for something that I am messing around with in 2015, although these came out before 2015. I like to see different finger lengths on a posable hand. It's something that I am beginning to expect now, and so seeing that makes me real happy. As for other natural things, there's a little bit of play with the knuckle ball joint, so this thing can actually have some splay, which I really dig. As for posability, I mean, they're posable like hands. So there's a knuckle joint, that's a ball socket joint, then there's a hinge here, and a hinge there. So you've got two knuckles and a knuckle. The thumb is on a ball socket joint, with one hinge, and it's a completely different sculpt than these parts, thank goodness. As for what the hands can do, I've got three basic tests. They are the three tests thought up by the Krins Industries Technological Society for Posable Fingers. Those tests are the Vulcan, the Horns, and the AOK. And the KP-06 hands pass all three tests, thank goodness, again. Very well done. I like these a lot. They feel good. They feel like the thing that was missing from this guy. They give me a lot of emotive options and add an extra touch of life to an already pretty cool figure. As for what to do with the old hands, thank goodness this guy comes with a giant box that is empty, because you can just stick them in there. And hey, guess what? You didn't have to lose anything, you didn't have to add to any landfills. There's also a new gun. It's got silver paint on it and stuff. It's a little bit bigger than the old gun. It certainly doesn't do anything the old gun did in terms of fitting into the trailer or folding up to go into Convoy's spinal cavity, but it's bigger, and it looks pretty good. There's the only bummer. It has these tabs, right? So I've tried to put it into his left hand, and I get the tab in place, and it falls out super easy. And the tab is what's holding it in there. The fingers are decorative. The tab is the real connection, and there it goes. That is not super cool. As for his right fist, I have had more luck getting it to fit in there, but it's very tight and springy and feels like the tensions are just off. This feels like, once again, my classic Keith's Fantasy Club experience. Thank goodness it's just like the bonus gun and not the hands themselves. But, you know, it's just not fitting in very well. It gets in there, it'll stay if I don't touch the toy much, but if I start posing his arm while he's holding his gun, it's gone. And I'm sure I could do some play with a little bit of floor polish and maybe some sanding to get this to feel a little bit better, but I kind of don't want to have to, so I'm a bit bummed out to see this is such an issue. As for whether or not he can hold his original gun, let's get this in here. This one stays in, does it? Nope. Hey. Let's put it in here. Does it stay in? Let me at least bend your elbow first before you go flying out. Not very well. So I'm a little disappointed with this guy's ability to keep a grip on his weapons. Of course, I could just pose him in the pose I want, then add the gun at the end, but I don't want to do that. I want him to keep a grip on it. I don't know. The hands themselves work fine, and I suppose that's the most important thing. And for the nominal price they cost of, after shipping, probably just under or over 20 bucks or so, I think they're worth it. They feel good, the build quality is much better than I was expecting from a small fiddly thing made at the KFC factory, and these hands have given me the confidence to check out their Magnus hands and potentially throw down a pre-order for their Star Saber hands as well. The fingers have a great range, they can look really organic. I guess I just wish the wrist did more than swivel, some kind of hinge in there to point his palm up and forward in a kind of repulsor ray or stop position would have been a real great touch. In short, come for the hands. Don't expect much out of the gun. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I'm going to feel really weird if I review Ultra Magnus hands before reviewing Ultra Magnus, and I'm going to feel even weirder reviewing Ultra Magnus before reviewing any of the other Hasui cars. I really should get on that, but there are two other Transformers lines going on right now that I also really want to talk about. Oh, how hard my life is on YouTube.